Brilliance Audio presents Speed Dating by Noelle Adams and Samantha Chase. Performed by Carly Robbins. Isabella Warren was trying not to get annoyed with Mrs. Pendergast as she briskly brushed on color and folded foils in the elderly woman's hair. Her attempt was gradually failing. Mrs. Pendergast had been one of her very first clients when Isabella had started at the salon 6 years ago, and the old woman still came in every week for an appointment to get coiffed and buffed, as she called getting her hair and nails done. Isabella appreciated the loyalty and was fond of all her clients. But every few weeks, Mrs. Pendergast would use the opportunity to give Isabella an hour-long lecture on how she needed to get her life together. Isabella thought her life was mostly together. She was 25 years old and a part owner of the beauty salon, so she made decent money. Certainly more than enough to support herself in a small town. She rented a nice one-bedroom apartment above the coffee shop downtown, just a block away from the salon, and she had a lot of friends and got along well with her family. Her life might not be extraordinary in any way, but she had done just fine for herself so far. She didn't, however, have a husband, or even a boyfriend, and to Mrs. Pendergast, that signified the need for a lecture. Today, the lecture was on how she couldn't keep waiting around to find a man, and how when Isabella's sister Tori got married in a few months, Isabella would be the only one of the 4 Warren sisters left unmarried. "But, Mrs. Pendergast," Isabella broke in, finally unable to just listen in silence, "I do date whenever I can. There aren't that many available men in town, you know." She'd lived in Preston, Virginia for most of her life, so she was used to the small-town atmosphere and everyone knowing her business. She'd gone out with 3 different men in the past year, never more than a few dates. And each time she'd faced endless inquisitions afterward about what had happened and what had gone wrong. She added, "I haven't found the right man yet." "That's just an excuse, dear. I hear it all the time from young women like you. You think the right man will magically appear and that there's nothing you can do to hurry him along in the meantime. But men aren't the way they used to be. They used to have backbones, you know. They used to pursue a woman. Now they've gotten spoiled and wait for girls to make moves on them." "Spoiled," Mrs. Henson repeated from where she sat in the chair next to Isabella's station. "They're used to getting what they want without trying. It's a whole different world from when I was a girl. I read magazines and watch TV, you know. If you want a man, you've got to put yourself out there." Elise, Isabella's partner in the salon, was working on Mrs. Henson's hair, and she met Isabella's eyes in the mirror with a look of suppressed amusement. Isabella cleared her throat. "How do you suggest I put myself out there?" "Firstly, you need to not spend so much time with that young man," Mrs. Pendergast said. Isabella blinked. "You mean Jace?" "Yes, that's the one." "But he's my best friend." "Perhaps, but what man is going to ask you out when you're always with another man?" "But there's nothing romantic between me and Jace. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that." Elise laughed. "Everyone knows, but not everyone believes." "But there's really not. We've always only been friends, and I'm not going to drop my best friend just because a potential date might feel threatened." Mrs. Pendergast didn't argue, but she shook her head and tisked her tongue, which was almost as annoying as a verbal response would have been. Isabella bit her lip and made herself resist the urge to keep arguing. She'd had to explain the nature of her friendship with Jace so many times since high school that it wasn't really worth the effort anymore. "Be that as it may, you still need to put yourself out there. Everything I hear is about the internet," Mrs. Pendergast said, pronouncing the last words in a way that made it clear they were capitalized, as if she were referring to a deep, dark, unknown force. "Online dating," Mrs. Henson agreed, nodding vigorously in a way that required Elise to step back with her scissors. "I hear about it on the shows. That's the way it's done nowadays." "I've got a cousin who met her husband online," Elise added with a half-smile, slanting a mischievous look at Isabella that made it clear she knew exactly what she was doing in mentioning it. Isabella groaned. Not you too. Nothing's wrong with online dating, Elise said. She was a couple of years older than Isabella and already had 3 children. I'm surprised you haven't tried it before. Isabella shrugged. I've thought about it, it just seemed, I don't know, not really like me.